1, 2, 3, funky.
My darling, I love you, 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 I l
Welcome back. It's been a hot minute since I seen y'all. I think the last video I made, I was 37 weeks pregnant. But a lot has happened between that time. Didn't have time to make any more updates, any more videos. Things got weird after that and crazy. And then I actually had my baby. So then now I just ain't been in the mood to make videos. But today I'm going to go ahead and answer the most asked question that I get. Why did I choose a home birth? I've been trying to make this video all day today, but every time I try to make this video, little Miss wakes up and then I have to get her situated. So currently right now, you see I have the camera at a weird angle because she's feeding. She's eating. I tried to put her to sleep again because she was asleep before I tried to make this video the first time. But I think she knew that I was about to do something without her. And she's nosy and hates to be left out. So now she's down here eating. If she finished eating before the video's done, I will prop her up and show her face for those that don't follow my Instagram already. But I have some notes here and we'll just jump right in. So I keep getting messages. Why did you choose a home birth? Why did you choose a home birth? Why did you choose a home birth? And I realized that I was writing a lot of messages back to people with the same reasons and same paragraph. And so we're going to discuss all of my reasons in this one video. I'm going to go straight down the list. So let's get started. Sorry. I'm just doing stuff with her down here at the same time. So, number one reason for choosing a home birth. COVID-19. 2020, COVID hit the United States really bad. Therefore, all the policies in the hospitals have changed. COVID has changed visitation policies, including labor and delivery policies. Excuse me. And so, as before, you could have up to maybe 2 or 3 people in the delivery room with you as support people, including your doula, your family, whoever. Well, during COVID, they've changed that to 1 support person. So, and I'm going to speak for my hospital in general, but I've seen this to be a general consensus for all hospitals. You're allowed 1 support person. You and that support person have to get tested for COVID when you enter the hospital. If you test negative, you must give birth wearing a mask. So you have to wear a mask if you test positive for COVID before you deliver your baby. Or if your partner tests positive, they have to wear a mask in the room during delivery. If you both test negative, you don't have to wear a mask, but you and your support person are not allowed. Tongue-tied. You and your support person are not allowed to leave the hospital until you have given birth to your baby and you are being released. If your support person leaves, then you are made to be by yourself until you check out. They will have to meet you outside in the parking lot. So that requires you trying to choose from all your support people the one that you think matters the most, and that's very hard to choose for a lot of people when you have a mom, a dad, father of the child, or mother of the child, or best friend, and everybody. It's hard to choose one person to be your support person and tell everybody else they can't come. I've seen that be a dilemma for a lot of people, trying to choose the one person that they wanted to bring and trying not to hurt everybody else's feelings. So you were allowed 1 support person, and I know some hospitals had cut it down to 0 support people. Being that I am a first-time mom, I could not see myself giving birth in a hospital with 1 support person and no other support people. That means that it would have to been me and my mom, or me and 1 doula, me and 1 friend. It just didn't seem like the best support system for myself. Which brings me to my reason number 2, support. Like I said, not the best support system for myself. So even if I hadn't chose a midwife for my birth, I would have definitely had a doula present. So then I would have had to choose to have me and a doula in the room, or just to go without a doula, but I've always wanted a doula as a support person in my labor to help with breathing, affirmations, support, massaging, all that good stuff that we'll talk about in the comfort area of my video. So definitely support was big for me, being able to choose who I want in the room when I'm giving birth, who I want around, how many people I want around. Some people are okay with it being only one person in the room because, they may not want a room full of people while they're giving birth, and that's perfectly fine. But we're just speaking on why I chose a home birth, because I wanted more than one person in the room with me. Also, yeah, I don't really know how any other way to say that. Just support. I wanted as much support as I can get, and I wanted to choose who was providing that support. I wanted to choose how many people were providing that support. I want full control of that. Hold on, guys. Are you done, boo? You done? So, 1 being COVID, 2 being support. Oh, here we go. 2 being support. 3 being comfort. So, in the past, I've never been a patient in the hospital. Knock on wood, don't want to jinx myself. But I've never been admitted to the hospital for anything. I barely go to the doctor, if we want to be honest. I go when something really goes wrong and I have to go. But I don't just regularly go to the doctor, and I definitely have never been admitted to the hospital for anything. So I'm not a person that gets sick too often and has to check in. So the idea of being in a hospital, possibly strapped to a bed with IVs and all of these other things, monitors in the room, in that little uncomfortable bed with a little gown on that's open in the back, and all of those intrusions from doctors and nurses just did not stick out to me. It did not seem as an attractive option. So the thought of possibly having to stay overnight at the hospital gave me a lot of anxiety. Was not fond of wanting to stay the night at the hospital. Having a home birth, I was able to give birth how I wanted to, where I wanted to, and when it was all done, I was able to get in my own bed and sleep in my own space and be in my own home immediately. I didn't have to wait for the doctor to clear me, to discharge me, tell me I'm allowed to go home, to tell me that I have to go home without my baby, or the baby can't go home for this amount of time. Literally, I gave birth on the couch and moved to my bed, and that was the end of that. So comfort, I want to be comfortable. I want to be surrounded by my paintings, my items, my stones, my energy, the space that I set up for myself. That matters. That's for my comfort. You okay? And yeah, comfort extends far past just being in my own space. When I was in the process of deciding to do a home birth or looking for a midwife, I interviewed about 2 or 3 midwives, 2 or 3 centers, looked at the qualifications, requirements, their credentials, all that good stuff. And I'm not saying that any other midwife is less capable or less qualified. I'm saying that it wasn't a match for myself. It's definitely important to do your interviews and talk and get a feel for the person you're going to choose or you think you're going to go with, to see if you are a match. Because the other midwives were not a match for me, during the interviews, it felt like I was talking to my OBs per se. Not saying that they were conducting themselves as OBs, but it just felt that way because we weren't matching, we weren't connecting in that way. And so when I finally found the midwife that I chose to go with, it was an instant connection for myself. It was an instant comfort. It was an instant match. It felt comfortable. It felt like it was supposed to be, in a sense. And so if you're someone like me that believes in energy and vibes, then you know what I mean by something when it's supposed to be. And so that goes into comfort as well. Feeling comfortable with the person that you choose as your provider. And I was comfortable with who I chose. I was happy with my choice. I'm still happy with my choice. It all goes into comfort. It matters. Trust me. It matters big time. Yeah, so let's move on. Number 4, pricing. Pricing. So let's get into pricing. I'm not going to give exact numbers on this video because, that's going a little too, y'all getting too in my business. But pricing. So we already know, even with insurance, when you give birth, you leave with a fat hospital bill. You get charged for everything. I think on my insurance, they were going to give me a $3,500 bill, something like that, for labor and delivery, and that's just basic labor and delivery. If I wanted to do skin to skin after I gave birth, that was an additional fee. If I wanted a mirror to look and see her coming out as I was giving birth, an additional fee. It was just additional fees for everything, and so that's just having a normal vaginal delivery. And everything you get done to you in the hospital, every medicine, epidural, IV, anything they give you goes on that bill. So if they give you something for pain, goes on the bill. They give you something for, let's say something goes wrong, goes on your bill. If you want anything extra, goes on your bill. If you want a delayed cord clamping, you want them to wait to cut the cord, goes on your bill. If you want to hold your baby immediately after birth and bond, goes on your bill. And so just for you to have normal things and a normal experience, you was going to leave with a fat bill. And most people I know are still struggling to pay off that bill, but we already know most people do not pay medical bills, and so there's that. But pricing, I paid for my midwife and doulas, and that was it. Now she's here, I don't have a bill. I was able to settle that payment before I gave birth. No bill, no extra money being paid out, none of that. And I already take her to her appointments because she's now on my insurance. And so, once again, all the things that she didn't get in the hospital, most of them are unnecessary. She didn't need the vitamin K drops, the ointment on the eyes. She didn't need none of that. And I didn't want none of that anyway. She skipped all of that. And she still got her hearing test and her blood test and everything as a part of my insurance. So I didn't pay anything extra. Therefore, I'm not walking around with a hospital bill now for giving birth. Like that is completely settled. So I do recommend for those that are interested in home birthing or even looking into birthing centers, look into those options and look into the pricing because it's so much easier to pay it off or set up a payment plan and pay that off and be done versus just sitting here with this bill because you wanted a normal experience like bonding with your child and holding your child and seeing and different things like that. Pricing definitely played the second biggest reason why. Because I'm just like, I just had a specific vision for my labor and delivery, and in order to create that experience in the hospital setting, it was going to cost me so much extra money just to have the normal things that somebody would want when they have a baby. Like, who charges you to hold your baby after they're born and to bond and just to see and do? It just doesn't make sense. You okay? No, she's asleep, y'all. I think. Yeah, she's asleep. So, pricing definitely played a role. Control and vision. So this is big. Control and vision. Everything that happened in my home birth, I had complete control over. I created the vision, and the vision did change slightly. And if you watch the labor and delivery video, then you know what I mean. It changed slightly, but I still had control over the entire thing. I did have my midwife. I had 3 doulas. I had my mom. I had a lot of people here to support me, but I was still ultimately 100% in control of how things went. And that's important. Doctors don't listen. They don't. And I'm speaking from someone that spent their entire pregnancy going to the actual doctor while I was seeing my midwife. And I wasn't still going to the doctor because I didn't trust my midwife. 1000% trust the midwife that I chose, to be honest. But I only continue to go to the doctor just because when you have insurance, I'm able to get the testing that I need and sonograms I need and stuff just so I can come back and report it to her without her having to help me outsource and pay extra money for things that's unnecessary. So that definitely helped with that. But I didn't still go to my doctor because I trusted my midwife any less. But just going to the OB showed me that I had no control over my health or my birth plan. Um, During the course of my pregnancy, I know you guys heard me say in another video. During the course of my pregnancy, they tried to diagnose me with gestational diabetes. Did I have it? No. They tried to diagnose me with preeclampsia. Did I have it? Absolutely not. I've had perfect blood pressure throughout my pregnancy, and my sugars were never an issue. But being a plus size pregnant woman, I was already dealing with the discrimination since day one. The first day I walked in, she's smiling, guys. The first day I walked into the doctor's office for my very first appointment, because I was over a certain BMI and a certain weight, they were already trying to test my sugar and put me in the gestational diabetes category without having done any testing or having any prior knowledge of my health. And they don't listen. They don't listen. Doctors don't listen. No matter how much I told them how I know what's going on with my body and how much I know, they didn't listen. So you really, technically, they tell you to make a birth plan. I had a few OBs ask me about my birth plan, but in our reality, I have no control over what would have happened in the labor delivery process had I chose a hospital setting. No control, no vision. They don't care about you coming in there with your document, listing out all these wonderful things you want. Even some of the nurses will tell you, they'll tell you to make your birth plan. That's all nice, fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, 90% of the chance you're not going to get none of the stuff on that list. And that was important to me. And literally at almost every meeting with my midwife, she asked me what I wanted and how I wanted it. When I met with my doulas, and I was lucky to have 3 of them, I will tag my midwife and my doulas down in the description, their IGs and their information. I was lucky to have 3. Even meeting with my doulas, the first thing they asked was, what do you want? What is your vision? What does birthing look like for you? How does this look like for you? This was a constant conversation so that everyone can make sure that I have in mind what Simone wants. Therefore, when it's time to execute, we get as close as we can to this vision. Like I said, my vision only changed slightly, but not really. I wanted to give birth in the water. I gave birth on the couch. Not a big deal. Not even sorry about that. No regret there. That's literally the only thing that changed out of my entire vision, to be honest. I got the support. I got to labor how I wanted to, when I wanted to, in peace. They barely touched me. There was no one trying to make me sit down and make me do this and make me do that. My vision stayed my vision. A peaceful, short, that part I got lucky with that part. A peaceful, short, hands-off labor. That's it. Only hands-on part was when my midwife was actually delivering Miss Nova. Other than that, I wasn't made to lay down. I wasn't made to sit over here. I wasn't made to do this. Literally, my doula showed up. They went with my flow. They asked me, what did I need? What did I want? Did I want to move? Did I want to go there? Did I want this? Did I want to drink water? They recommended I drink water, but let me tell you something. When you're in labor, it don't always work that way. But they didn't force me to drink water. They didn't force me to do anything. They literally moved with me. We worked together as a team. So what I wanted, they did. And when you have a team and you're working hand in hand and both of you are on the same page and the vision is going the way it's supposed to, it's easy. There's no fighting. There's no bad energy. Everything was just going the way that it should be. Control and vision. Like, I keep watching my labor and delivery vlog, and I am not disappointed in any form or fashion. And I did chop the video up for YouTube because I had so much footage. Like, I had hours of footage, and the video would have been too long. But just watching all the initial videos, I am not disappointed in any fashion. I am actually in love with my entire labor and delivery, the whole entire experience, which brings me to reason number 6, memories/feeling. So hospitals, at least I don't know. I am actually not gonna give you a number because I was gonna say 80 to 90%. But I would say most hospitals will not let you record your birth. Every now and then you will get lucky, and maybe a doctor or nurse will let you record, but they won't let you record the whole thing. They won't let you record um, the actual birth. They may let you record the laboring part all the way up until you deliver, and then they make you cut out the camera. Yeah, she's making noise and she's smiling so big in her sleep. I wish I had the camera to show y'all, but I know as soon as I pick up the camera, she's gonna stop doing it. But they will not let you record in your hospital room. So most people say they regret not being able to record because they don't have any memories to bring. They may have that one photo of the baby after he or she's been born, and maybe one shot of mother and dad, or mother and mother, or whatever your relationship dynamic is, holding the baby, but they don't have any memories of what happened. And that was important for me. I wanted, not just because I wanted to put it on my YouTube, I put it on YouTube to share with people what a home birth could look like. I saw a lot of home birth videos on YouTube, but I rarely saw myself in those videos. So, plus size mom, black mom, at home giving birth. You see a few black moms here and there, but like I said, I didn't see my identity or myself in these videos, and so I feel like it was important for me to share what home birth could look like from another identity or dynamic. So I wanted to be able to go back and watch this video as many times as I want. I wanted to have the footage. I wanted to be able to show her one day the labor and delivery. Like, I wanted all of that. I was able to get from the first moment I went into labor, all through labor until she popped out, literally. And that was important to me. Memory / feelings. Like, you can't get that feeling back of your baby being born and placed on your chest. She was pulled out and put right here. We got to do skin to skin. I got to bond. She got to lay there. She got her cord cut while laying on me. We got to look into each other's eyes. Like, these type of feelings you can't get back. Oh. Once you miss those moments are done. And that's important to me. That I got a chance to bond with her and actually have those moments of being the first person she sees when she comes out. It was just a very natural, very genuine feeling and memory to have, to be able to say that labor and delivery wasn't a traumatic experience. Because I noticed that on all of my little Facebook groups that I'm in, a lot of them are calling their birth experiences traumatic. And we know that birth can be traumatic depending on who is your provider, how things go. And we know things can go wrong. Aww. We know that things can go wrong, but nobody should have a traumatic birthing experience. And so seeing that so many women are calling their experiences traumatic, is very disheartening. To know that you are in love with your child in general, but when you think about the process of birthing that child is a traumatic PTSD experience that you don't even want to think about. You don't want to think about all these different things. Some women have 2nd and 3rd degree tears. Some women were forced into C-sections, which brings me to point number 7. We'll talk about Black mother mortality rate and the documentary A Business of Being Born, because that was another reason. Being forced into C-sections, being forced into getting epidurals, and having to be induced. Hold on, guys. Decline. I don't know why unknown numbers call as if I'm going to answer. But, hold on. Come on, Pooh. Come on. All right. So, being forced to be induced, my doctor tried that at the end of my pregnancy. My last appointment with my OB was at 39 weeks and 4 days. Yep. And when I went to that appointment, the doctor tried to recommend an induction for me. Sorry, y'all. Tongue-tied. They tried to recommend that I be induced for no medical reason. I asked what was the reason. She said there was no medically necessary reason to be induced, but she was trying to figure out why I want to stay pregnant past that point, because at that point the baby is full term, healthy, and there's no reason to stay pregnant except the fact that I wanted to have a natural birth and go into labor naturally. I declined that induction, and I told myself I wasn't going back to the next appointment, but I didn't have to because she was born at 39 weeks, 6 days. So, literally born 2 days after they recommended an induction, saying that she wasn't going to come. Um, yeah, I didn't have to be induced, but I said I wasn't going back to the OB because they were recommending that I be induced for no reason, just for the fact that they were ready to actually, looks like they were ready to be done with me on that level and get me out of the way. They told me if I came back to my appointment at 40 weeks and 4 days, they were going to force an induction, which we know they can't force it, but I still wasn't going to go. Meanwhile, my midwife was not even worried, even though I got a little flustered in the end. She was not worried nor moved that anything was going to go wrong or that I was going to need an induction. She literally was like, oh, okay, yeah, she's going to come anyway. So, looks like I was just stressed out by myself for that one day. Stressed out for like one day, then she came a day later. So, and that goes back to the comfort and support. When I text my midwife, hey, they're trying to induce me and they're saying all these crazy things, she did not fold. She didn't waver. She literally did not break a sweat. She was not worried in any sense, which means I shouldn't be worried in any sense. But I allowed them to get in my head for that very moment. I was not a fan of the induction. That's why I'm going back to the control, vision, black mother mortality rate, business being born. Doctors always suggest inductions because they don't want to wait for you to naturally go into labor. We know that due dates are estimates. Due dates are not definite. We know based on a woman's cycle, every woman's cycle is different. Some of us have 28-day cycles, some have 30-day cycles, 38, 40. It just depends. My cycle is 33 days. So basing her due date on a 28-day cycle is not completely accurate. She could come anytime before or after that due date. Women can actually carry up to almost 43 weeks with no issues because we don't know the exact date you conceived unless you've done something like IVF or some type of procedure where then they do know. But due dates are estimates, so there's no way of telling when your baby will actually come. Some come early, some come on time, some come on late. Technically, all babies come on time because they come when they're supposed to, and that's another conversation. So doctors recommend inductions because they don't like to deal with you after a certain point, and they get more money for the more drugs they push into you and the more procedures they have to do. If you have not watched the documentary, The Business of Being Born, as a woman, even as a man, but as a woman, you should definitely watch it, especially if you plan on having children or if you've had children. Allow yourself to be educated in a different light because most, if not more than half, of inductions turn into cesarean sections. So you go in for an induction. We know that an induction is basically forcing you to dilate and forcing you to go into labor even if your body is not technically ready. So now you've been in labor for 12, 15, 18, 20 hours sometimes, and your body is not dilating past a certain point because, again, your body was not ready to give birth. Now the doctor says, hey, your water has been broken too long or you've been in labor too long. We're going to recommend that you get a C-section, and now you're being cut. You're going under the knife for no reason. You could have just waited. And I saw that as well in the month of January and February. A lot of inductions turned into C-sections. A lot of inductions went terribly. They were painful. They had a lot of Pitocin, Cytotec, all of these different drugs, balloons placed in them, and some of them couldn't dilate past 1 or 2 centimeters, was in labor for hours and hours and hours, and got C-sections because they were tired. Laboring is exhausting. I will say that. Laboring is very exhausting. So imagine being in labor for over a day, and you still haven't gotten anywhere, and the doctor's still telling you got more time to go, so let's just speed it up by giving you a C-section and cutting the baby out. If you're that exhausted at that point, you might just say yes. And then again, doctors get paid more money when they do C-sections. The documentary Business of Being Born has really opened my eyes to a lot of Western medicine practices. The most important thing being that a lot of OBs have never seen a 100% complete natural birth. Like, never seen one. So when you tell your OB that you're thinking about home birthing or birthing at a birthing center, they will immediately try to discourage you. That's one thing I did not do. I did not tell my OBs that I was never delivering with them. I let them believe what they wanted to believe. I let them give me the directions to the hospital, tell me where I need to go, give me the labor line number, all these things that I knew that I was never going to use. I'm not saying that things can't go wrong, but I was 100% confident that nothing was going to go wrong. Therefore, I was never planning on going to the hospital at all. But I didn't tell them that because I've seen a lot of experiences where people tell their OBs they're doing home births and they get dropped from care or they get bullied into either choosing to go to the hospital or they get scared because the doctor is now giving them all these cons and negative stories. OBs jump directly to giving you a negative story when you say, I want to birth at home. When in reality, birthing at home is safer than birthing in the hospital. I know that sounds crazy because at home you don't have all these medicines and tools and things, but that's the reason. With intervention comes stress. That's one thing. I had no interventions here, no one constantly checking my cervix and all of that good stuff. Like, my midwife tried to check my cervix one time at the end, and as you see from the video, she was already down and coming out at that point, so there was no point to really check. But we were going to check just to see after that time of being in labor that many hours, how did I progress? You know, I had started laboring at 4 a.m. and at this point it was already 10, almost 11, so, you know, almost 7 hours. So let's check and see where you are and where you have to go. Oh, well, she's already there. So I didn't have anyone constantly checking my cervix, constantly reporting numbers, stressing me out, telling me I'm only this many centimeters, only that many centimeters. I didn't have anybody constantly just putting their fingers in there and touching me and moving me and it's just, no. Intervention causes stress. I didn't have any interventions. Therefore, I didn't have any stress. I had a stress-free labor. I know people find that hard to believe, but it's very much possible. I had a stress-free labor. Yeah, just it is what it is. The documentary really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and being a black mother, the black mother mortality rate is high. Like, we get neglected in the healthcare field. Like, you go into the hospital and you get neglected. Just in 2020 alone, there have been so many black mothers who died either while giving birth or after giving birth for being neglected, for reporting pains and aches and situations and being ignored by their doctors and nurses because for some strange reason, and it pains me to say this, for some strange reason, white people believe that black people handle pain differently. I don't know whoever told them that, but most people take that into the healthcare field and use that. So you're complaining of a headache, you're complaining of a pain, and they think that it's less painful or less serious because you are a black person than your counterparts of different races. So therefore, you're in the hospital getting ignored. There was a mother, I'm leaving names out of it, you can research it, had a baby, had a headache, high blood pressure, was ignored and died right after giving birth to her baby. Ignored and left to die. And that's actually 2 stories, same situation. I'll let you go do your research on that. But if you have not watched the documentary of Business of Being Born, please do. So just to recap, because I don't want to make this much longer than it is, all the reasons I chose for having a home birth: COVID changed all those plans immediately. 2, having to support people that I wanted to, the support team. 3, comfort, being able to be in my own space with the energy that I set, being in my bed, my room, my house, my living room, my space. 4, pricing. I'm not walking around with a high hospital bill. I've had her, it's done. No more money is being shelled out in that sense. 5, control and vision, being able to control my birth, being able to have my birth plan and my vision taken into consideration and actually executed. 6, memories and feelings, being able to hold her immediately, bond with her skin to skin, see her cord getting cut, watch her getting away, all of these good things. Nobody came and whisked her away and took her to another room and brought her back hours later. Nobody was poking and prodding, doing all these things to her. I have all the footage, I have all the memories, I have all the feelings. And then 7, because black mothers are often ignored. Mothers in general are ignored, but black mothers even more. So the black mother mortality rate, business being born, that's just 7 reasons. I feel like if I was to sit here and keep talking, I could find a whole list of reasons of why, but those are my main 7 reasons of why I chose to have a home birth, and I do not regret it in any sense. And for future kids that I plan to have, I will be having home births, and most likely will be using the same team, the same midwife, the same doulas, because you just don't get no better than that. It is what it is. Like I said, I will put their IGs down below, their contact, like their information. You can jump on their IGs, you can check them out, and see, if you want to use them. They do serve the Atlanta area and the surrounding areas. So, and I'm pretty sure some of them do travel. Just depends. But I will be using my same team for future births because my home birth was just that 100% awesome, and it just don't get no better than that. And my baby is here safely, and that's just it. So, if you have any other questions about home birthing, definitely contact me on my IG, which is down below as well, and I will get those questions answered. But other than that, see you next time.
I love you, I love you, I love you.